Approaching around 8 o'clock here on this Tuesday evening. This will be our latest update here on a Region Weather Live. Regarding the storm that's moving in right now, we've had some pretty decent rain across the region. We're seeing that rain-snow line start to transition further and further in our direction. I do think it'll be here later on this evening. And then tonight, boy, is it game on. We're going to bring in some heavy snow across northwest Indiana. I've got a full suite of 18Z model runs. What that means for the non-weather junkie, we've got new information. All the model runs very, very similar in terms of agreement. It's almost amazing that they have a really good handle on this storm. And boy, is it going to crank some snow, as we've been talking about over the last couple days. All right, let's get to our intro video. We'll let some people join, and we'll get to our Tuesday night edition of Region Weather Live. All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. As always, if you're new to these things, we're going to go through some analysis. We'll talk exactly how things are going to play out. A lot of you have been joining over the last couple of days with these Region Weather Live. So I'm going to kind of catch you up from where we have been over the last couple discussions and what has changed over just the last couple hours. We did an update earlier on this afternoon. I was actually getting into the evening. But a couple things have changed. Some of the numbers have actually gone up a little bit, so we'll talk about that. Want to thank our sponsor, Griegers, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. They are a fantastic group of folks. We connected with them over the last couple weeks, and they're keeping this show free and all of our content free for you, and I just want to make sure we take care of them as well. Good folks over there. Jeep and four-wheel drive seems to be something that I think we all could use here over the next couple days. So let's get into the map, shall we? Again, that rain-snow changeover is now to areas about 20 miles west of Chicago. So we still got a little bit of time in regards to how this evening's going to play out. Not much has changed since our earlier discussion. We had a discussion earlier on Region Weather Live about that changeover time, and I showed a map on that. So you can go back and watch that. But I'll just tell you, it looks like 9, 10 o'clock, we'll start to see some wet flakes mixing in, primarily in Lake County, and then eventually that will transition out towards the east. So all of us should be snow right around midnight, exception maybe being our far southeastern counties, but you get the picture. We're going to turn to snow here, and it'll be a heavy, wet snow as we get into the evening hours, and then especially overnight. All right, let's get into the maps here. So here's how things are going to play out. This is a new model run since when we last met a couple hours ago. Again, we've got a full ensemble of 18Z runs. That is the latest information for you in terms of how this storm's going to pan out. So as we go through time, we're dealing with the rain now. You hear it pitter-pattering outside. We've had, any leftover snow is on its melting process right now. That's going to change over to snow shortly. You can see how we really developed this elongated area of precipitation that's been showing up on the models for about a week now. That goes all the way from Maine, all the way back into Texas. It's really incredible to get something this prolonged and elongated on a map and have the heavy precip with it. So this really is a pretty incredible storm, even from a meteorological perspective. But here we go. We're now talking 2 a.m. and we're into some snowflakes around here. I think we'll have some big, heavy, wet snowflakes around. And then as we go throughout the overnight, we're now into that morning rush hour. You notice it's been snowing all night, every county in northwest Indiana, and it's been snowing pretty good in every county across northwest Indiana as that first wave, that first round of precip works up and through the area. Morning rush hour. I've gotten several messages, a couple of emails as well regarding this, and I have responded to all of you with the same response. Morning rush hour does not look good. A lot of you still have plans tomorrow to travel either intrastate or around, the Chicago area or back towards Illinois. It's going to be a mess tomorrow morning. It really is. I can't stress that enough. It all depends on if you're a good winter weather driver on normal systems. I don't think that depends on it with this system. I really think if you have travel plans tomorrow morning through midday, I really think you need to reconsider. I'm not going to make your decision for you, but we are going to have heavy snow overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, it'll likely still be coming down pretty good, and that's going to continue through midday tomorrow, likely on the order of 1 to 2 inches per hour at times. So this is going to be our big hit with this storm system is tonight and tomorrow. Again, we talked about it in our earlier broadcast that second wave looks to head to our south. We're still going to get clipped by it, but it looks like in terms of impacts, this is going to do the damage here over the next 24 hours. So you see in the morning, we've still got plenty of snow lined up all the way back down towards Kansas. This first wave will start to become a little bit more compact. So you see as it kind of squeezes through, we're still squeezing out heavy snow. This is the lunchtime hour tomorrow, and then we get into afternoon. The snow's starting to kind of diminish in intensity. The heaviest stuff's out towards the east. You can clearly see the two waves that we have. We have the one out towards Ohio, Illinois seeing a little bit of a break, and then we're developing the next wave with the actual area of low pressure way back down towards the south. That'll be round two. This storm system's kind of broken up into two different phases. Results are going to be the same, but it makes it kind of easier to concentrate on both. So wave one's out of here. We're still dealing with light snow tomorrow evening. It'll likely be kind of patchy. You notice that little ribbon coming off the lake. That's that lake enhancement we've been highlighting the last couple nights. That'll likely be into the Chicago area. Can't rule that clipping out Lake County. What that would do would just provide a more persistent snow for areas of Lake County on through the afternoon and evening. But I really don't think that's going to be much of a difference maker, at least locally. Trust me when I say the damage will be done by now. I'm going to show you snow totals in a little bit and how much we're expected to get with that first wave. And I agree with it as well. So here we go. We're now into Wednesday night. You notice how we had a little break from the action. Here comes our second wave. This is going to be a strong one as well, but it does look like it's going to trend a little bit further south and east. The models have pushed it there over the last 24 hours. So you notice how there's a fine cutoff line as we get into Thursday between our northern counties, which may not be seeing much snow at all, and our southern counties, which are seeing a general light to moderate snow. As we go throughout the day Thursday, that wave comes closer. Depending on how much it fills in and how much dry air is in here, we may get it all the way through into northwest Indiana. So we're likely to have another round of snow on Thursday. It does not look to be nearly as intense, likely just on the light to moderate at worst. The counties to watch would be the closer south you are. So Newton, Jasper, Stark counties on Thursday. You may have a decent snow. We could add on another 2 to 6 inches on Thursday. If we see this track shift any further north, we could add to that and bring that 2 to 6 northward. However, models have a really good handle on this tonight, and they're all in agreement. And whenever you see them all in agreement, that's something that we like to see because our forecast tends to line up with that because that's what they're all saying, right? So as we go through time on Thursday, we're now into Thursday night, getting into Friday. There's some lake enhanced, which becomes lake effect snow. System snow's out of here. We're bone chilling cold. We'll be down in the single digits. So anything we have on the ground is just going to turn to a block of ice, and we're going to have a lot of snowpack around as well. So how much snow are we talking? This is the forecast that we're going to put out here shortly after we get done with this on our Facebook page. So we can actually put some numbers on it because it's time. It's time, baby. All right, so here we go through time. And I want to show you this. Look how fast the snow falls. This goes from tonight all the way through. Here's let me look at the morning here. That's afternoon. So let's go to the morning. I want to let you know how much you have for that morning rush hour. That's a little too much right in there. So for that morning rush hour tomorrow, this is 4, 5, 6 a.m. right there. 2 to 6 inches. That's what we said earlier. So we'll have some snow on the ground tomorrow morning, anywhere from 2 inches up to a half a foot, depending on if that band can really crank out the snow. So you're driving to work. We got 2 to 6 inches on the ground. That's manageable, right? It's still snowing really heavily. By the time you get to work and by the time you're ready to eat some lunch, we're now talking 6 to 12 on the ground. What changed? Well, the snow kept falling at a really hard rate, right? So roads are just going to go downhill. Even if it's okay in the morning or manageable in the morning, it will likely not be manageable by the midday hours. So keep that in mind tomorrow if you have travel plans anywhere. As we go through time, this is now up into the evening hours. This is tomorrow evening. And you notice by tomorrow night, this is right around midnight, models cranking out anywhere from a foot of snow. Some of the totals up 16, 17 inches or so by tomorrow night. So that by the time we talk tomorrow night, we're likely to have this much snow on the ground. And again, this model is not alone in that. And I think after looking at some of the upper air analysis with the storm system that's coming in, there's going to be a large ribbon that's going to be able to crank 1 to even 2 inch per hour snowfall rates. And I think that does line up with Northwest Indiana, at least for a time tomorrow morning through midday. So keep that in mind. So our forecast has been over the last 2 days, and I'm going to keep it the same. I think a general 10 to 18 inches. I'd be even willing to go a foot to 18 inches. There is going to be a range like that. That's not me being lazy in terms of forecasting. Not everyone's going to get 15 inches of snow. There is going to be a big range depending on where that band cranks out. And again, that's going to be down to the mile or 2 mile time frame on that, or resolution on that. But I think 10 to 18 inches very likely by tomorrow night, right? So you wake up Thursday morning, we have 10 to 18 inches on the ground across the area. We get that second round in here, and you notice what that does. This model keeps it south. Most of them do, but that brings an additional little swath of snow through here. So we're adding maybe 1 to 2 more inches in most counties, but you get down towards Newton, Jasper, Stark counties, we're adding another 2 to 6 on top of that 10 to 18. So if you're in Newton, Jasper, or Stark counties, or even further south than that, I would up your totals anywhere from about 14 to 22 inches, right? That's not a surprise if you've been with us over the last couple of days, because we've been looking at some of those totals. We saw that the Weather Channel, a couple of days ago was saying 2 to 3 feet. Chaos, buy bread, click here. And we probably did click there to read their forecast, but we've never gone that high. I don't think we're going to get totals in the 3-foot range by any means. But could we approach 2 feet of snow in spots? Certainly could, especially if that second round comes far enough north. So this is going to be a decent snow. Again, I mentioned this earlier. We can handle it, right? The reason why this is such a big snowstorm is that there's going to be a lot of snow. I mean, this is a pretty impressive amount of snow falling from the sky. And it's not just going to be localized to a lake effect area in the snow belt. It's going to be localized to everywhere, right? So it's going to be very widespread all across Northwest Indiana, all across Indiana, from basically Indianapolis, just a little bit south of them to Lake Michigan. I mean, it really is going to be a wide-reaching event, and that's what makes it so impactful, is that, road crews that are trying to clear have to clear everywhere, and they have to wait basically till it's done to get to work on that. So that's why I think road travel is just, I'm so discouraging that tomorrow. I think tomorrow night it's still going to be messy. Friday morning, it's going to take some time to clear this up. So just keep that in mind if you have travel plans. Again, I know I've said that a bunch of times, but I continue to see amounts come in and messages come in, hey, should I travel tomorrow morning or not? Not. All right. You really shouldn't. So that's that. All right. Our snowstorm heads on out on Friday. We have very cold air in behind it. All right. I want to show you the other models because we always like to go through all the options here. And I want you to see and notice how they agree. This is the Euro model as we got on into, we'll go all the way through Friday at this point. And you can see it's got a good 12 to 18 across the area. It's got a little bullseye down here in areas of southern Newton County that may have upwards of 20 inches of snow, but a foot of snow or more, right? Pretty good snow. Impacts are going to be the same from this. So remember, we talk impact. Doesn't matter exactly what your amount is. 16 inches is going to be the same as 14 inches, same as 18. You're going to have a rough time with it, right? GFS, this is the American model. This has consistently had higher amounts. It's forecasting more QPF or precip or water in this. So all the numbers are higher on this. So that's squeaking out 12 inches in Gary, 16 in Valpo, 19 as you get over towards Knox and Winnemac, 20 down towards Rensselaer. Certainly some impressive totals. But again, this matches up with everything we're already saying. So really no new information here. And look at this, my Canadian's on board. This is the Canadian model. Always interesting this time of year. The Canadian model, hey, agrees. It's saying a good 21 inches in Chicago. That's a nice forecast for them. Because they're going to be right on that line. They're either going to get a foot or more snow, or they're going to end up with like 6 inches. So it's a really tough line there. But for Northwest Indiana, we're solid in this with a foot or more. Again, I think a good 10 to 18. I'd be willing to go 12 to 18 for everybody. And then we're going to add another 2 to 6 or so with that second wave that arrives on Thursday for our southern tier counties, Newton, Jasper, and Stark counties. All right. So that's what we're dealing with in terms of snow. I'm going to take this back to here. Would be happy to answer your questions. And then if you've been joining me over the last couple of days, I'm doing the morning show here locally. So I get up at 1:30 in the morning. So I'm about to hit the hay here in just a couple minutes after this. So I'm going to take a couple questions and then we'll go from there. Okay. All right. So in terms of, I see a little conversation on there versus what kind of snow it's going to be. And you're absolutely right. This is going to be a heavy, wet snow. It's going to be hard to move around. And that's another complication for our plow drivers. Thank you for what you do. I know you've got some long hours ahead for all of them, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be a very heavy, wet snow, high moisture content, probably a 10-to-1 ratio, which is pretty typical. Make it down to 8-to-1 for a time. And then eventually what we're going to do is we're going to end up turning the snow a little fluffier as we get into the Thursday timeframe as colder air works in here for sure. All right. Eileen, you're welcome. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. Leanna says, Matt, are you working from home? I am. Yeah, this is my home little studio here. For sure. We've got, all sorts of decorations behind me just to make you feel like you're in someone's house. And I hope it feels comfortable for you. I do not have my tart cherry juice, though. I love my tart cherry juice. And I don't have a glass tonight. I already brushed my teeth. So there you go. Yeah. So Gavro hasn't been with us for too long. He's saying, run for your lives, OMG. I hope you know, Gavro, that is not our messaging here. We are going to get through this. It'll be okay. And as long as you have 18 loaves of bread, you'll be all right too, buddy. All right, Gina, should we expect school closures Thursday? I think so, Gina, for sure. I really do. I think there's going to be too much of a mess on our hands. Friday's going to be interesting. I think Friday is a matter of if we clean up in time. There's not going to be a lot of snow behind this, so we'll see. Joe, great question. Yeah, so we mentioned this at the 5 o'clock broadcast, the one we did a little earlier. Because that sweet spot with this storm system comes closer to us, I do think there's a chance of some thunder snow, and that would be mainly tomorrow morning, really not necessarily overnight, but really getting into the morning hours and midday. We could see a strike or two and get some thunder snow out of this. Again, thunder snow is a sign that you have really intense updrafts, which is hard to do in the wintertime. And it's a sign that you have some really efficient snowmaking going on. And we're definitely going to have that for a time. Chris, the wind is going to be out of the northeast almost the whole entire duration of this event. It's going to be pretty gusty. We're still thinking 20 to 30 miles per hour. If you're near the lake shore, remember the lake doesn't have the friction that the land does. The land has buildings and hills and everything to kind of slow that wind down a little bit. The lake does not have that. It's all flat, right? Exception being some waves and some ice. But as it comes across the lake, we may see stronger gusts near the lake shore, over 40 at times. So it is going to be pretty windy up there. It's going to be breezy to windy everywhere. In terms of blowing and drifting, I really don't think, I'm reading some discussion that a lot of sources do think that's going to be an issue. I don't really see that being a big issue because it's going to be a heavy, wet snow. It doesn't blow around easily. Thursday, it may become an issue, and that would mainly be for our west-east roadways. With the northeast wind, it tends to blow that snow over the road. So US 30 comes to mind, the Borman as well. But I don't think blowing and drifting snow is going to be the biggest issue around here for sure. Deborah, good evening to you. Yeah, you'll be, I think the driveway is going to need cleaned up for sure around that, for sure. David, thoughts on waking up around 2, 3 a.m. to shovel it and break it up into chunks, or will not be that bad in South Haven until morning? David, I don't think it'll be that bad in South Haven until morning. So the snow will have just changed over between 10 and midnight, and it'll be coming down over the course of the night, but it really cranks up probably after the 2 to 3 a.m. hour. I'm highlighting kind of internally, I want to say like 5 or 6 in the morning is when it really starts to crank. So again, we'll have anywhere from 2 to 6 inches on the ground by morning. I think the 6 is going to be kind of more the rare number. It'll be more in the 2, 3, 4, 5 range. But again, I don't think it'll help you to go out at 2, 3 a.m. If you go out early in the morning, like 5 or 6, that might be helpful. But boy, it's going to be heavy to push around. Rhonda, thank you for that. Tom, that's a good question. Thursday storm, I mentioned this earlier as well. Thursday we have to handle that like a separate snowstorm. If let's say it was quiet today and it's quiet tomorrow and we were just dealing with that Thursday storm, we'd still be deciding the track of it, right? We're still 48, 60 hours out. So we kind of need to, well, we're still 48 hours out. Let's put it that way. Not really 60 anymore. But anyway, that track can still change on that second one. I have a feeling that it's going to either hold or it could even push a little bit further south and east. And the reason why is because this cold air is more impressive than what the models were saying coming out of Canada. It's a really strong Arctic high. And so that's tending to push everything further south. There's so many things you have to balance in terms of where these go, for sure. Erica, Mike Kaplan wouldn't lie. Not much, though. It's not enough for me to say that it's really moved it that far north. And I don't think he would do something for clicks or anything like that. So I don't think that's a situation with him. I didn't notice the northward shift. I really didn't. And again, I'm forecasting for Northwest Indiana, and we haven't seen much of a change in the track of that. It still keeps most of it kind of brushing the area. So I have not seen that northward shift with the models, but we could certainly see that as we get in the morning. Tristan's watching on our YouTube channel. Thank you, Tristan. How much will Hobart have by 6 a.m.? Anywhere in between the 2 and 6 inch range. It'll be coming pretty good at that, coming down pretty good at 6. All right. Noreen, great question. Heaviest snow for this whole entire event is going to be tonight. Probably again around 3, 4, 5 in the morning. It'll start to crank up, and it's going to be tomorrow morning and then on into midday, and probably tapering off a little bit early afternoon. But that's going to be the big block for us here in the region in terms of the heavy snow. You're welcome, Leanna. Daniel, great one. Are there human decisions behind various models? They based on algorithms. They are all algorithm based. There are human decisions in terms of the input that goes into them. Again, there are some really detailed things that go into these giant algorithms that basically say, we know what the weather is all across the US now. Given those conditions, where have we gone in the past? And so every day they're getting smarter because they're ingesting what actually happens versus, what is happening. But they're all different. All the models are different because there's different equations in them. And I mean, they get down to like the foliage in the trees and how much evapotranspiration comes out of those. It's incredible. So the human decision is where your meteorologist comes in, where we're all looking at the same models. But, one of the things, like an example I'll give you, is that lake enhanced band coming off the lake. The models didn't have that 3 days ago. Whereas, I've had 15 years experience forecasting near a Great Lake or by Lake Michigan for Northwest Indiana. And that typically happens during winter storms where we develop that lake enhanced band and it moves based on the wind. And so the models started picking up on that. There's other things as well, like we know what models are performing well during a certain period of time, which ones tend to correct north. And that's where your experience and your meteorologist comes in for sure. Your phone app doesn't do that. Your phone app just takes whatever the model says and it spits it out. That's why your numbers, especially AccuWeather, didn't someone tell me AccuWeather was saying it was like, what, 3 to 6 or 2 to 4 the other day? And I said, I don't know about that, but okay, AccuWeather. But yeah, that's what your phone apps are doing all the time. They're just saying whatever the model says. There's nothing into it. All right, thank you guys. Sweet Spot and Gary. Sweet Spot's going to be south of Gary, but you're still going to crank some snow, Deb. I think I'm getting behind on your comments again. I'm so sorry. And you're absolutely welcome. I really appreciate you and your support. You've been great. Thanks for watching on our YouTube channel as well. And I saw Valpo close tomorrow. Is that what I saw? Rensselaer's school's doing an e-learning day. I wish we wouldn't do e-learning days. It just ruins the magic of snow days. Give the kids a snow day. Come on. Chris, great question. So the snow fence I put on the west side of my driveway is probably wasted. It's not, Chris. It's actually going to help to pile up the snow from the northeast. So I assume you're going for a giant pile of snow. Yeah, Chris, I don't know, buddy. Let me know how that goes. I'm curious. I'm not necessarily a science on snow fences, but I can put together a wind direction, the weight of the snow, and where you put your fence. So I'm sorry, buddy. I'm really sorry. Rose just got a notification to watch out for slush in the morning. Yeah, it'll be slushy, Rose. I mean, we'll have 2 to 6 inches on the ground. It's going to be snowing heavily. So we'll have some slush, especially where the salt is. Here's one of the big problems for INDOT, and this is going to be a problem for a lot of people in this event. Normally, they pre-treat the roads, right, with brine or, the liquid treatment that they put down. When it rains, like it's raining right now, if they pre-treat, it washes away. So it does no good. So that initial snow that falls, typically when it's pre-treated, will melt, and they have a little bit of time to catch up to it. All of it's washing away with the rain, so they can't pre-treat the roads. And so once it starts snowing, there's likely not going to be any pre-treatment on the roads, and that's problematic, right? So the snow's going to start to pile up right away. So again, that morning rush hour is going to go downhill quickly, all right? If this snow comes in later tonight than expected, let's say it starts snowing at 2 or 3 a.m., it's still going to go downhill that morning rush hour quickly, all right? Brandon's in Utica, New York. That's Kit. Or you're at work in Utica, New York. Would rather be, or here though. You're still getting snow up in New York eventually. This whole thing kind of collapses. You get snow and you'll get round 2. I haven't checked the totals, but I think you've got some good totals up there for sure. Yeah, Shannon, this is the, that's funny you brought up those words. Yeah, this is the anniversary. What was it, 2011, the Groundhog's Day blizzard? So again, this is the time of year we tend to get these big storms because we tap into the Gulf finally. The Gulf's not shut off anymore. Yeah, Kathleen, this is heading up towards Michigan. Michigan's going to see some decent totals, mainly the southeastern half. So Detroit's going to get hit pretty hard by this, whereas Grand Rapids, areas to the north probably won't get much at all. I don't know where Cantori's going. I think we'll find out tomorrow morning. Here's the deal with Cantori and where he's. I had got to interview Cantori on the news one time, and man, talk about a childhood dream coming true, right? I mean, I grew up watching him like a lot of you did, so that was super cool. He's a super cool guy. But anyway, he could be anywhere because the snowstorm is so far reaching. I mean, literally the New England to Texas. So it's not like a compact storm, so kind of interesting. And that, yeah, bad for commuters in the morning. Power outage with ice and wind. The ice isn't going to be a big issue, Babs. It's going to be more the wind and the heavy weight of the snow. So I do anticipate some power outages as we go into tomorrow, especially later in the day, and then Thursday. I don't think it's going to be crazy in terms of power outages, but it's weighing down the pine trees. Anything could just fall on them, and it could be a mess. So we'll see. Let's see. I'm going to zoom ahead because I'm almost ready for bed. Again, 1:30 wake-up call, morning news, and we've got a storm here too. Samuel asks, I just tuned in. We'll be driving from Muncie to LaPorte for work tonight. What should I expect? Samuel, if you can get to LaPorte at a decent hour, 3 a.m., you might have some snow at the end, but you should be okay, buddy. Yeah, so you should be just fine in terms of your drive. Drive safely, please. Wet roads the whole way, right? Shane, yeah, there'll probably be road closures, I would imagine, especially as we get in the thick of things tomorrow. Again, if you go to in.gov, there's an advisories on the pull-down menu, and that'll tell you what counties are in advisories. A lot of the sheriff's office Facebook pages will tweet it out on Twitter, or they'll put it on Facebook. So we'll need to stay up to the latest on that. That's more of a newsy thing. So just so you guys know, meteorologists, I do the forecasting. We'll do the real time, what's going on with this storm. We don't typically cover news stuff. That's news folks that do that. So there are some great news resources around the region as well that you probably follow on Facebook. So what app do I recommend? That's a good question, Kyle, or Kylie. Sorry, my screen was covering it. I use Radar Scope myself. You do have to pay for it. A lot of meteorologists use it. It's good for tornado tracking and stuff like that. But most apps are okay out there. I don't think any of them do a good job forecasting because, again, they're spitting out model data. But in terms of radar, all of them are pretty equal. The higher res you can go on it. So if it looks like a big blue blob moving through, that's not very fun. If you can go high res, kind of like this map you're seeing here, where you see the darker blues, lighter blues, that makes it more realistic in terms of what's actually happening. Glenn, not a whole lot of rain so far. We've seen upwards. I was checking some of the totals about an hour ago. We've seen anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to about 1/4 of an inch across the area. We'll probably pick up just about that before we change over. So, that combined with some of the melting snow has given us some problems. But I'm not anticipating a lot of flooding from this unless your drains are clogged, and then that becomes a problem, right? Yeah, Weather Channel's been all over the place, Rob. They really have been, and they're model chasing as well. I'm not saying they're bad forecasters, but they tend to bump up numbers for a little bit. So they're going 3 to 5 tonight. I agree with that. I said 2 to 6 tonight, 5 to 8 tomorrow. They went from 3 to 5 to 5 to 8 tonight, 5 to 8 tomorrow. That matches up. That's in the 10 to 16 range, and we're going 10 to 18, 12 to 18. So I agree with that. The 5 to 8 tonight, that's if things really get cranking early. Again, 2 to 6, 5 to 8, impact's still the same. You're dealing with some decent snow, but I would agree with that forecast. I think that's pretty good. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of Valpo questions on here, and I'm seeing a lot of how much snow in my city. So here's what we're going to do. I made a nice graphic that I'm going to put out on our Facebook page right now, right when we get done with this. That'll have your Northwest Indiana. I've got the snowfall predictions on there through tomorrow night. Remember, that does not include the Thursday storm that's going to kind of sideswipe us, right? We're still going to get more snow from that, but I want to focus on the near term through tomorrow night, how much we get. And again, I think it's going to be on the order for everybody, anywhere from 10 to 18 inches to, I could say 12 to 18 inches by tomorrow night at this time. And that's everywhere. All right. So that's what we're dealing with. Okay. All right. So again, the biggest part, just in recap, is going to be tonight is when the rain changes over to snow, probably 10, 11 o'clock. That snow will really pick up. It'll be a heavy, wet snow. It'll really pick up 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. It will continue at a heavy clip, as it looks right now, all the way through midday, perhaps even early afternoon tomorrow. We're going to see the bulk and the most heaviest snow, the biggest impact part of this storm system is going to be tomorrow morning, that rush hour through tomorrow early afternoon. Okay, that's when we're going to see a lot of snow. By the time we talk on Region Weather Live tomorrow night at this time, we'll likely have anywhere from, again, 10, we'll go 12 to 18 inches on the ground across Northwest Indiana. And then we're going to add some more on Thursday. Okay, so tomorrow morning, don't commute if you don't have to. Work from home, enjoy the day off, and go from there. Okay. All right, we're at a half hour mark now. That's my cutoff for you guys because I don't want to bore you to death with weather stuff. Lyle just joined in. That's okay, Lyle. You guys can go back and watch these on our Facebook page or on regionweather.com. So we'll put out that snowfall map here shortly, and we'll be with you again tomorrow. We'll have more updates much like today. Tomorrow's going to be more of a nowcasting. We'll probably get some radar posts, saying here's where the heavy snow is. If you guys have reports or pictures, we always love that if you send them in on our Facebook page. And we'll get through it together. All right, big winter storm, lots of snow from this, but it's going to be manageable as long as you're smart about staying put tomorrow. Okay. All right, everybody, enjoy your evening. Get some sleep tonight, and we'll talk to you again on the other side tomorrow.